In measuring pleasure and pain, these are the following criteria Bentham has introduced: intensity, duration, certainty, propinquity, fecundity, purity, and extent. For Bentham, the greater the quantity of pleasure or happiness, the greater the result. It is basically saying that we should maximize the pleasure and minimize the pain. For an example, you are choosing between two job opportunities. One of the jobs is that you will have a larger salary and more perks, but you will have to relocate and leave your family and friends. The other job lets you stay in your current area with your family and friends, but the salary and perks are fewer. For Bentham, he suggests to assign the values to the units of pleasure and pain and make the calculation. Well, that's all for Jeremy Bentham and his contribution to utilitarianism. To summarize, he contributed to the importance of pleasure and pain and how to measure them quantitatively. I would like to end my journey with you with a quote from Jeremy Bentham. Nature has placed mankind under the governance of two sovereign masters, pain and pleasure. It is for them alone to point out what we ought to do, as well as to determine what we shall do. Thank you for listening.
Good day, I'm Key. We will now proceed with John Stuart Mill's. John Stuart Mill was the most influential English language philosopher of the 19th century. He was a naturalist, a utilitarian, and a liberal whose work explores the consequences of a thoroughgoing empirist outlook. He was also Bentham's intellectual heir. Even though he agreed with much of what Bentham wrote, Mill believed that the quality of pleasure was more important than the quantity of pleasure. For Mill, it is not the quantity of pleasure, but the quality of happiness. The pleasure. Plato and Aristotle claimed that mental pleasures were superior to physical pleasures. However, regardless of how juicy the mud or how many days of lying contentedly in the sun awaited us, Mill maintained, in conformity with his qualitative calculus, that none of us would trade the pleasures of being human for the pleasures of being a pig. Mill applied the principle of quality over quantity to one of the great debates of his day, the question of intellectual and social equality for women, arguing that the legal subordination of one sex to the other, besides being wrong, was one of the chief hindrances to human improvement. And that's all for the augmentation of John Stuart Mill to utilitarianism. I hope you acquired